All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You can slowly but surely take your seats, and you can do so also closer to the stage, because we're less people now in the afternoon as we have two separate events going on, two simultaneous events going on. So please feel free to come as close as you want to the stage. Thank you. All right, let's wait 2 more minutes. We had a little bit less time for lunch today, so there are still people coming in. I think at this point we can also just wait a little bit more while I'm waiting for a glass of water, which might be there already. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's slowly get started. And I would like to warmly welcome you all to a very empowering afternoon, because our afternoon today is about worker empowerment and specifically women empowerment in the garment and textile industry. My name is Hasso Anwar, and I'm a project manager at Fabric, and specifically Fabric Cambodia, so our bilateral activities here in the Kingdom of Cambodia. Welcome again for those of you who traveled from abroad. But beyond my role as a project manager, specifically for the Cambodia project, I'm also a coordinator, a technical coordinator of our social sustainability activities. In that role, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this afternoon, which focuses on worker empowerment and worker representation, and the link of these topics to gender equality. To kick us off into the afternoon session, I would like to invite you to think back to the session that we had yesterday morning, where we had 6 pinboards here in the room with thought-provoking and somewhat provoking statements. And statement number 4, which was close to, actually between those two doors, and Stephen moderated the session. Question number 4 was, does social sustainability get less attention, or is it less important than environmental sustainability? And given the prominence of environmental sustainability, for example, also today, our conference day started with the topic of environmental sustainability, So given this prominence, the question is somewhat valid. Also the media attention that goes to this dimension of sustainability, But of course, it is not true that social sustainability is not important. In fact, the opposite is true. And many organizations work very intensively on the topic of worker empowerment. And because, with the exception of Pakistan, or Pakistan being the notable exception because it's a very male-dominated sector, the majority of the workers in the Asian garment-producing countries are female. The topic of worker empowerment is also very closely related to the topic of women empowerment and worker and women representation in the industry. And this is something that we as GIZ, we work on very intensively. In fact, in our work on worker empowerment in the garment industry, we follow a very gender-specific approach of German Development Corporation, which is the 3R framework, the letter R, 3 R's. And those 3 R's stand for rights, representation, and resources. Yesterday, when we talked about some of the highlights and achievements of the Fabric Asia project, you learned about a few of our activities that speak to those 3 R's. For example, we talked about the labor law app that we have developed here in Cambodia, and there was also a similar app in Myanmar, which is about raising awareness about labor rights and ensuring labor law compliance in the industry. We also learned about a very deep cooperation that we have with unions across the region. Here in Cambodia, for example, we work very closely with the Women Union Network, WUN, who we also later have represented on stage in this session. So that is about representation and enabling unions to play a constructive role in the sustainability management of factories. And lastly, we have across the region, we have the concept of what is called women cafes or worker cafes or Sunday cafes. Here in Cambodia specifically, we have the Women Empowerment House, which follows that concept, and that stands for the 3rd R, that is the resources, because at institutions like these, like the Women Empowerment House, workers and also women beyond workers in the industry get access to services that help them improve their livelihoods and awareness-raising events and trainings. So various resources that are being provided to them. And of course, it's not only us working in this space, but there are many organizations that work on worker and women empowerment. And this is why we designed this afternoon in a way to give the stage to relevant experts of these organizations and of these initiatives to tell us about their work, but also in an interactive way. Later there will be breakout sessions in this afternoon where we also are interested to hear the views and ideas and opinions and experiences of all of you. And here is how we go about this. I think behind me now there is an overview of the agenda for the afternoon. We start with a keynote presentation followed by a panel debate to unpack some of the ideas that we hear about in the keynote presentation. And then after a coffee break, we go into breakout sessions on different approaches of worker engagement and worker empowerment. And at the very end, we gather again here in the room to wrap up for the day. Yeah? So that sounds good. Let's, in the interest of time, move to the first item on the agenda, which is our keynote speech from Nazma Akhtar, from Bangladesh, who is an advocate for workers' rights, and she will talk to us about challenges that workers, particularly female workers, are facing in having their voices heard. And we will talk about how the topic of meaningful worker engagement connects to the emerging framework of human rights and, specifically human rights and environmental, I was going to say, HREDD, human rights and environmental due diligence. Yeah, worker engagement, of course, is an important aspect of that. And lastly, we will hear how constructive worker representation leads to a more resilient and more sustainable textile industry. And I'm excited to hear your thoughts. And let's give a warm welcome to Nazma. Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Hope everyone enjoy the meal and good energy to listen us. The Extending Workers' Voice and the Inclusive and Sustainable Industry Relation. Especially in Asia, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Myanmar, Pakistan, India, wherever, we are a manufacturing hub. We are not the business hub. So that is the important issues people need to be reminded, especially the global south, north, because we are the workers, you are the seller. So in this world, we need to be three things to be think about: people, planet, and profit. So, but we think the people are treated as a cheap labor, especially the women's workers. In my country, less than $100 minimum wage, which is not sufficient to survive. And that is not the respectful working and dignified workplace. So that's the things we have to think about, the people, planet, and profit, how to make balance and how make things are equally, because we need the systemic change and we need to be power distribution, men and women, brand to supplier, supply to workers, and different legislation like CSDDD in European Parliament, German Act, many other countries also has this kind of things, because we couldn't get that kind of systemic change, and power is always global north, the south is always exploitation. That's the problem, and mostly in the apparel industry, the female workers are dominating. But now there is not only cheap labor, also we are challenging with the artificial intellectual, the robot and the machine also treated us and declining the women's job day by day. But there is no solution, there is no training, there is no any action for that. If I'm going to talk about the female workers, long working hour, 7 days a week, the sexual harassment, abuse, and gender-based violence, one of the big issue in the textile industries in my country as well as other country. And people like a BGME, BKME, Tak, Myanmar Association, a lot of they are so powerful, but the workers' voice is very low. That system needs to be changed. If I'm talking about this German fabric shirt, it's last 10 years, because of the Rana Plaza, where over thousands workers was murdered and many thousands workers was severely injured and pain and suffer. That's why CSDDD and the mandatory human rights due diligence, all aspects, including German Act. This act, how much will be benefited country like Bangladesh? Because there is also a lot of confusion and a lot of things, because the benchmark is a UNDP, UNGP, the John Raggie's principal guideline. So it will be legally binding or it will be voluntarily, because how much volume, how much workers are multinational has and turnover has, those people will be under those due diligence will be covered. But many European company doesn't have that turnover, doesn't have that much of the employment. What will be happen? Bangladesh will be high risk or Bangladesh will be high valuable from the CS-D? That is also my question, because there is not only German, a lot of people, even brand are here, who are producing, even my country, cheap labor. If we are going to about the climate issue, it's a high risk, one of the top 10 country, Bangladesh one is. Gender diversify is an important issue, because nowadays, the human being, there is no man nor is a woman, but we can't talk about it because the fundamentalism, religious aspect, patriotic society, every aspect women's workers and women we are facing. We are talking about the last few days, even last week we were in Paris talking about the circular economic purchasing practice. Do they really change? The Rana Plaza, Tazreen, Ali Enterprise, lot of accident, lot of murder and killing happened, but we didn't get the change. The fair purchasing practice not yet start, because people should be respect. Over profit, over greedy, that system has to be changed. That's why our union and our organization, we try to empowering female workers. And after Rana Plaza, in our union has, because we are not, in Bangladesh system is not like a sectoral union. We have to be in a limited company, individual union. We have over 80 union, we got the registration, which is we got achieved. We have 21 collective bargaining and fewer on negotiation. Hopefully we will submit. But in our policy and our structure, that the garment sector dominated by the female workers, that's why we need female leadership. We empowering female. And in our union, we have 80% female in the leadership, especially the president secretary must be woman. If there's a tricky issue, then one should be a woman. So this is the way we need to change, because the union are male dominating. They are not giving chance. The women always treated like a second tier leadership, but we need to be first tier leadership, because we are the pillar of the economy. We are the backbone of the economy. But the society, the business, the state, and the global north, they are taking the advantage and they are cheating and exploiting us. If we talk about the climate issue and just transaction, the circular economy, the workers who are working with the recycling materials and using this, do they save? Do they have minimum wage? Do they treat as a formal workers? No. It's a precarious work. It's an informal, hazardous work. Lot of dust, lot of chemical, lot of things are going on. If I'm talking about the Bangladesh, we are not producing lot of high-tech item. We are producing very basic thing. The jeans manufacturing, one of the largest in Bangladesh. The knitting, dyeing, we are producing, which is all the chemical, all the hazardous things going to our river, going our land, ocean, everywhere, and the pollution is, Bangladesh is one of the largest polluted country at this moment. We are ill, we are sick, not only workers. The occupational health and safety, also the climate issue. The next month, summer will be started, and the heat stroke is started, and the people will be ill, there will be absenteeism, there will be buy the medicine, the productivity will be declining. So the worker's life is vulnerable, even it will be impact the productivity. Bangladesh is not only this situation. Bangladesh, we are facing 3 crises: the political crisis, economical crisis, as well as the climate crisis. And that affect our female workers and the children. And a lot of pregnant women in the factory, they are also ill, the children. If we are talking about the women's workers, we have no proper daycare center and crash. Yesterday also we visited factory, even in Cambodia. There is no child care, but this is the fundamental rights of the workers. When the workers wants to organizing and join the union, there is no job security, there is no protection, there is no remedy, although the country like Bangladesh ratify ILO Convention 8798. But in reality, how much is impact? How much is implementing? These are the issues. So we are fighting for our rights, and most of our union is, we try to increasing beyond the labor law, the wages. climate issue, gender diversify, maternity protection, leave is increasing, the sanitary napkin is free, ultrasonogram is free, the pregnant woman should get extra calorie food from the factory, gender-based violence, anti-harassment committee, women should get the promotion. So a lot of things we are trying to do, but the percentage is very low. We have in Bangladesh number of union, but do we want quality or quantity? We need the quality full union and also quality full industry, because we are not against the industry. We are against the system. That system has to change. Some of the brand, they're really talking so many things, but nobody's talking about the workers' voice and workers' own issues. Because responsible union can change the things. Because where is because in Bangladesh, there is a lot of unrest happen. But when the union has, and the union are capable to deal the issues, there is no unrest. There is always peaceful negotiation, peaceful understanding, and peaceful way we are working. So this kind of system, if we really want, and we need to awarding those factory has the union, has the freedom of association, and the collective bargaining, where has the workers' well-being, they should get the awarding. Because we went to many factories in my country, rest of the world, we are going to the best factory. There is no union. Maybe the ventilation infrastructure is very good, but the workers' well-being is not like that. So that kind of industry we need to grow up. We need to competition, the productivity. Because in Myanmar has one kind of wage structure, Cambodia has different, Vietnam has different, Bangladesh has different, Pakistan has different. No, because we are producing same type of clothes or the product. So our wage should be same structure, same way. Maybe if someone selling for the Adidas, maybe $100, but Adidas paying my country $100 worker salary. What is the difference? If we buy producing for the H&M or Inditex or Primark, because same salary and same thing, maybe their fabric, their materials might be better, but it is not matter of the workers. So we want equal wages for all countries in Asia, Africa, Latin America, even Europe. Then will be things change. Because why the people are going to Bangladesh? Excessive working hour and cheap labor market. Isn't it shame? Isn't good? Of course not. We are talking about the female, we are talking about the mother, but mother is always exploited. That's why we need living wage, we need freedom of association, we need collective bargaining. Even the climate justice, the worker need to know why it's happened, how to protect the country, how to protect the industry, how to protect and save their life. Because Bangladesh 2050, there will be not single country. There will be islands, we will be refugees, we will be migrated from our country. So that kind of scenario, if you're thinking, how, when there is no daycare center, the children are living in the countryside, 2 months baby without mother, physical, mental, all aspect, the growth is challenging and questionable, because what will be happen the next generation? There will be a lot of shortage worker, then nobody can get the workers and the workers' things. So therefore, the development partner like GIZ and other, we also asking, because when the donation or the aid come, 70% goes for the international consultant or like this kind of 5-star hotel, business class ticket. I think that should be stopped. The money should goes to the industry and money should goes to that. And I know because I'm working with GIZ many, many years, and they are my good, not only the partner, we are very good, like a sister concern, brother, sister, all kind of friend relationship. So they are also first try to establish an women empowerment project and how to establish those women leadership and voice. But I am also now requesting all development partner through collective bargaining, through union, can change the behavior, change the attitude. And also we need to, especially the production country like Bangladesh, we need to fight for the purchasing practice, because the brand are not giving the fair prices. Brand is not giving equal treated. That is the big problem. There should be some standardized wages or price, because that's why then we can change. Because we have the union, but the quality is not union very good. That's why we need quality fully. And we do a lot of awareness and education, and a lot of women in the Bangladesh has a very good success, and I'm welcoming everyone. Please come to our country, or if you wanted to know about how we do the CBA, we can share with you. It is possible, responsible, and people need to be smart. The people, planet, and profit, without workers' well-being, it will never happen. Therefore, I request all of them, please let's work together, respect workers, make some better future, and do some more things, because our country and the situation is getting very, very vulnerable. The Donald Trump, you see the American politician, Indian politician, as well as the Bangladesh politician, nothing is there. The corporate power is huge. We need to be balanced, and we need to equally and respect the female workers, and how to get the living wage, and how to get the freedom of association, and how to stop the gender-based violence. That is my question to everyone. How we have to do, let's work together, make better, and there is no alternate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nazma. This was fantastic. To set the scene, I think you mentioned almost every single puzzle piece that I could have thought of to consider in this complex topic. We going forward now, we will move on to our panel, and in that panel we will unpack some of what you have mentioned, Nazma, in your keynote address. We will unpack this a little bit, because I mean, it has become clear that there is a need for inclusive decision-making in business processes. And this idea probably will now resonate throughout the rest of our session. But we will, in the panel that we're now starting, we want to unpack further why the worker engagement is required, and more importantly, how exactly we should conduct it, and how exactly we can design it in a way that is very constructive, and what might be the building blocks of what in HREDD legislation is called the meaningful engagement. Yeah, how do we define that? How do we make the worker engagement meaningful? And yeah, with those questions in mind, it is my pleasure to invite Alex Stam to the stage, who wears different hats, but who will lead our panel today in the capacity as the chair of the Stitch Partnership. And to begin with, he will present this framework to us, to frame our minds a little bit, and then invite 4 additional speakers who can share relevant perspectives onto the stage. I think we will introduce them as we get to the panel, and we will start with Alex. So please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you very much.
And we have around 1 hour for the presentation and the panel.
No worries. Thank you so much for introducing, and this is really what it's all about. I must say it's difficult to follow after Nazma, and I've had to do this before. What Nazma is saying is what it's really about. And for some it's clearer than for others, depends on your own experience. Of course, many of you have been to Bangladesh. She invited us all to come, and I think it's a great thing. See it with your own eyes, feel it with your own senses. Particularly the role of trade unions. I think there is still a lot of resistance against trade unions by factories, by brands even. We don't want trade unions, they're a nuisance, they only create trouble. Even, I should mention a small anecdote. So I've seen, of course, firsthand what Nazma's union is actually doing, and the things that she mentioned are actually really happening in the factories that she has, the CBAs she is present in, or her sisters are present in. And I was once at a meeting with, let's say, one of the big manufacturers associations in her country, and I had a very, very nice start, and then I mentioned the word trade union, and I had about 20 minutes of a long rant against the trade unions and how terrible they are. I could just sit there and listen. But it ended with the following sentence. You can imagine this person was a man, this man shouting against the trade unions, and his last sentence was, oh yeah, there is only one trade union that really actually makes sense, that's Nazma's trade union. And that's not because she's not creating trouble when she needs to, but it's because she combines it with the constructive things for the workers so that, like you say, the productivity also goes up when there is good social dialogue. Anyway, that's just to set the stage for meaningful worker engagement. Because I truly believe, I'm Alexander, I'm with Fairware Foundation, it's a multi-stakeholder initiative, and we try to balance the interests of industry, workers, industry, trade unions, and NGOs, but the only interest really is the well-being of workers. However, to get there, we need to balance the interests of business as well. So there needs to be a business imperative too. And the Stitch partnership that I am honored to chair works with trade union partners, with NGOs, and with MSIs to balance those interests and to create progress throughout the supply chain. Now, Nazma already mentioned it. In many jurisdictions, including the EU, due diligence legislation is being enacted. Germany, of course, showed clear leadership in that respect. And yes, there are some things going on in Brussels. There is the talk about the, not only talk, unfortunately, about the omnibus renegotiations, but sooner or later, and in many, many jurisdictions, I think Stephen Frost yesterday said in 420 cases, there are 420 cases of sustainability law around the world, and many, many of them, including in the US, at the state level, include due diligence elements. So due diligence is here to stay, and due diligence includes meaningful stakeholder engagement. And not only regulators will ask it, we also see now investors, bankers, financiers, retailers, more and more asking brands to uphold high standards of due diligence. So this is here, it's here to stay, and it is something that brands should take notice of in their business interest. Now, part of due diligence, also as it is presented in the law, is meaningful stakeholder engagement. However, the law does not say what meaningful is, it doesn't say what engagement is, and it doesn't even say who the stakeholders are. So that is a very useful piece of legislation. And we have to unpack that together. And that's actually what the Stitch Consortium, the broad consortium, tried to do, and I have the honor of presenting that a little bit. Oh, I think I need to click, maybe. Yes. So the Stitch partnership, my name is on there, but I did the least in this. It's really the partners who worked on this. Developed a framework on meaningful stakeholder engagement, unpacking what that is in practice. What are the concepts for that? As I said, the Stitch Consortium already is a broad group, but it also did a public consultation. So this is really a very broad effort, and it's already being presented. It has already been presented at the OECD Due Diligence Forum on Garment and Footwear in Paris that Nazma just mentioned was earlier this month. So yes, we don't know exactly what meaningful stakeholder engagement is. We know brands need to do it, so we need to unpack that into a practical guide. You can scan that now, I believe, but there is also some leaflet outside, and you will find the QR code somewhere, I'm sure, or otherwise there is also the stitchpartnerships.org website. Then this is, of course, what the purpose is. Meaningful stakeholder engagement is not a tick box thing that you should do because it's a law. It actually has benefits. Yes, the main purpose is, of course, to drive real change for workers, for the environment, but my position is that it also is in the interest of business. I'm trying to navigate. So, I'm just going to touch very briefly on a few things that are in there. I'm not going to explain them because you should read it yourself. But for example, what it does is make a distinction between stakeholders and rights holders. there's a difference, and obviously both are important, and you should focus on the rights holders. But stakeholders, for example, include also factories. Important stakeholder, different from a rights holder, but still an important stakeholder. So, again, not the topic of today's panel because that's worker engagement. It's a specific stakeholder, but there are more stakeholders, and we try to unpack in this framework who they are and how you can select them. Then there is some information in there on forms of engagement. How can you get engaged with workers, or how can workers get engaged in your due diligence process? Peter McAllister yesterday in his keynote talked about, for example, the surveys. Yeah, they can be useful, but it's not the same as engagement. It can be part of a whole picture, but it's not the same. So that's quite complicated as well. Now, how do you make that simple? How do you make it practical? That's in the guidance as well. And then the last part of it is 5 principles. Legitimacy, accessibility, safety, equitability, and respect, abbreviated into the acronym LASER. And they align with the International Soft Law Framework on Responsible Business Conduct, but they provide further context to define the parameters of meaningful stakeholder engagement. You will find all of that in the guidance, and middle of this year there will be a technical guidance as well for brands, for factories, for others involved, for trade unions, to help you make it even more practical. So I'm not diving further into this. I don't want to spend the time on that because I want to make sure that actually we focus on the panel, and that's because we have really excellent panelists. So again, refer to the flyer or to the website stitchpartnership.org, and you'll find the framework there. Moving to that wonderful panel, I would like to ask to the stage, first of all, Ms. Heng Chenda, who is the General Secretary. If you would please take the stage.
And maybe speaking of which, I just wanted to highlight to all the participants, Heng Chenda will speak in Khmer, and we have translation devices available, Khmer English translation, and she will also have a device on stage. Thank you.
Exactly, thank you. Chenda is the General Secretary of the Coalition of Cambodia Apparel Workers Democratic Union, CCAWDU. Thank you very much. Please give her a hand. Then next up is Tanida Disyabut, founder of Bridgebox and a former colleague a long time ago. Welcome, Tanida. Then we have Farouk Shah. Please, Farouk, take the stage. Director at Rainbow Industries and CEO of Rainbow Sourcing. Thank you. And Anastasia Howe, who is at H&M, Sustainability and Public Affairs Manager. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm going to leave this here, then move with you. Right, thank you very much. So we have a broad panel, which is great, because we need to see this from all the different angles. Everybody is involved in this topic of meaningful worker engagement. It is not going to happen by itself. It actually requires a lot of work from all of us involved and the constituents represented here at stage today and more. So we're going to do 2 rounds of contributions by each panelist. The first round would focus on, let's say, the purpose and the role and how you see the position of engaging workers meaningfully in due diligence, but in the work on CSR more in general as well, and what challenges you see, what strategies you have to overcome that. So we're going to look at that first. So let's say the purpose, but also the challenges. And then in the second round, I would actually like to hear from each of the panelists a little bit more about what they've done in this field. Some examples, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, about the practical implementation of meaningful worker engagement, or let's say worker engagement. I don't know if it's meaningful or not. And then see whether that had any impact or whether it could be tweaked and done in a different way to have actual impact. So how do we get to impact? So how do we do it, and how do we make sure it has impact? I think those are the two rounds that we're going to be treating. And I would like to start, Chengda, with you, if that's all right. Is your translation working? It's working? Okay, excellent.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. So, Chengda, I know, of course, trade unions in general and your trade union specifically, you focus a lot on fostering social dialogue. Social dialogue is, of course, the core, let's say, process between workers and employers. Social dialogue is not the same as meaningful stakeholder engagement or meaningful worker engagement, but it's obviously a core part of it. So I would like to ask you, from your expertise and your experience, what is the role of meaningful engagement of workers in effective due diligence from your perspective? And what makes worker engagement effective in creating better working conditions? Maybe also, as I said, some challenges that you have seen while you are trying to do this, whether it's through social dialogue or in other ways, maybe by complaints handling. Maybe you have some examples on how you did this. Please, take the time to give us your views.
ជាបឋមនឹងខ្ញុំសូមគោរពទៅដល់វាគ្មិនទាំង3នាក់ហើយនឹងលោកដែលជាអ្នកសម្របសម្រួលផងដែរហើយនឹងសូមគោរពទៅដល់លោកស្រីដែលមានវត្តមាននៅទីនេះនាងខ្ញុំហេងចិន្តាជាអគ្គលេខាធិការរបស់សហភាពការងារកម្ពុជាហើយថ្ងៃនេះផងដែរនាងខ្ញុំមានសេចក្តីសោមនស្សរីករាយដែលបានចូលរួមផ្ដល់ជាមតិយោបល់នៅក្នុងកម្មវិធីនេះដើម្បីធ្វើយ៉ាងណាដើម្បីសហការនៅការងារមួយនេះសម្រាប់ផ្ដល់ជាជាថ្មីម្ដងទៀតផងដែរនាងខ្ញុំសូមគោរពទៅដល់វាគ្មិនទាំងអស់ដែលមានវត្តមាននៅទីនេះហើយនឹងលោកដែលជាអ្នកសម្របសម្រួលហើយនឹងអស់លោកស្រីដែលមានវត្តមាននៅទីនេះផងដែរហើយថ្ងៃនេះនាងខ្ញុំមានសេចក្តីសោមនស្សរីករាយជាអនេកដែលបានចូលរួមផ្ដល់ជាមតិយោបល់នៅក្នុងកម្មវិធីមួយនេះដែលជាកម្មវិធីមួយដ៏សំខាន់នៅក្នុងការសហការក៏ដូចជាការជួយជំរុញទៅដល់diligence របស់កម្មវិធីរបស់យើងដែល GIZ បានរៀបចំឡើងហើយនឹងសហការជាមួយនឹងអង្គការដៃគូជាច្រើនហើយនឹងក៏ដូចជាបងប្អូនដែលមកចូលរួមនៅទីនេះទាំងប្រមាណប្រទេសនៅទីនេះផងដែរចាអរគុណច្រើនចានៅក្នុងការជំរុញនិងការចូលរួមប្រកបដោយអត្ថន័យនៅក្នុងការត្រួតពិនិត្យក៏ដូចជាការវាយតម្លៃប្រកបដោយភាពត្រឹមត្រូវនិងប្រសិទ្ធភាពរបស់បងប្អូនកម្មករក៏ដូចជាខាងនយោជកក៏ដូចជាbrand ក៏ដូចជាអ្នកបញ្ជាទិញនៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជានេះផងដែរគឺនាងខ្ញុំសូមមានយោបល់ទៅលើ3ចំណុចចំពោះសំណួរទី1នេះចាទី1គឺយើងត្រូវតែបង្កើតនៅគេហៅថាច្បាប់មួយដែលយើងមានស្រាប់ហើយដែលយើងថ្មីនេះសម្រាប់ប្រទេសកម្ពុជាច្បាប់ស្ដីពីការគោរពសិទ្ធិមនុស្សនិងបរិស្ថាននេះដែលយើងហៅកាត់ថា HREDD នេះគឺជាច្បាប់ថ្មីសម្រាប់កម្ពុជាហើយទាំងសហជីពទាំង ខាងយោជកក៏ដូចជាខាងដៃគូពាក់ព័ន្ធគឺខ្ញុំគិតថាថ្មីនៅកម្ពុជាប៉ុន្តែនៅប៉ែកអឺរ៉ុបខ្ញុំឃើញថាវាដូចជាយូរសម្រាប់ការអនុវត្តរបស់គាត់យូរមកហើយប៉ុន្តែទោះយ៉ាងណាខាងខ្ញុំជាសហជីពនៅកម្ពុជានេះក៏មានសេចក្តីត្រេកអរក៏ដូចសោមនស្សរីករាយដែរនៅក្នុងការដែលបើសិនជាកម្ពុជាយើងយកច្បាប់នេះដើម្បីមកធ្វើការរួមគ្នាអនុវត្តក៏ដូចជារកផលប្រយោជន៍ជូនទៅដល់បងប្អូនកម្មករយោជិតគឺយើងត្រូវតែមានការបង្កើតនិងការអនុវត្តច្បាប់ក៏ដូចជាបទបញ្ញត្តិក៏ដូចជាគោលនយោបាយដើម្បីឲ្យបានធានានៅគេហៅថាសិទ្ធិសេរីភាពក៏ដូចជាសិទ្ធិកម្មករក៏ដូចជាការគោរពសិទ្ធិហើយនឹងអនុវត្តនៅផលប្រយោជន៍ឲ្យបានទូលំទូលាយក៏ដូចជាយើងជួយទាំងកម្មករជួយទាំងខាងនយោជកផងដែរហើយក៏យើងធ្វើការរួមគ្នាដើម្បីជាប្រយោជន៍មួយសម្រាប់សង្គមក៏ដូចជាដៃគូដែលពាក់ព័ន្ធផងដែរអញ្ចឹងយើងជារឿងមួយសំខាន់របស់យើងជាសហជីពគឺខ្ញុំគិតថាយើងជួយកម្មករសម្រាប់ឲ្យគាត់ទទួលបាននៅសិទ្ធិការងារក៏ដូចជាអត្ថប្រយោជន៍ផ្សេងក៏ដូចជាប្រាក់ឈ្នួលកាន់តែប្រសើរឡើងផងដែរចា៎អាហ្នឹងទី1ទី2ការចូលរួមប្រកបដោយប្រសិទ្ធភាពគឺជាការចូលរួមផ្ដល់ជាមតិយោបល់ហើយក៏ដូចជាការគោរពនៅគោលនយោបាយមួយចំនួនដែលពាក់ព័ន្ធក៏ដូចជាខាងការគោរពសិទ្ធិមនុស្សក៏ដូចជាបរិស្ថានក៏ដូចជាច្បាប់ EDD នេះគឺវាសំខាន់សម្រាប់បងប្អូនកម្មករហើយខ្ញុំគិតថាបើសិនជាច្បាប់នេះនៅកម្ពុជាយើងបានប្រើបានដាក់ឲ្យអនុវត្តខ្ញុំគិតថាវាផ្ដល់ផលប្រយោជន៍ច្រើនដល់បងប្អូនកម្មករដែរអញ្ចឹងណាចាហើយចំណុចទី3ទៀតគឺបញ្ហាយើងឃើញថាបច្ចុប្បន្នយើងដឹងហើយថាសហជីពនៅកម្ពុជាក៏ដូចជាកម្មកររបស់កម្ពុជាយើងមានគេហៅថាចំណេះដឹងយើងនៅមានកម្រិតពាក់ព័ន្ធនឹងផ្លូវច្បាប់ផ្លូវអីហើយជាពិសេសច្បាប់ HRDD នេះវាថ្មីសម្រាប់យើងទាំងអស់គ្នាហើយជាពិសេសទៅទៀតនេះបើតាមការអនុវត្តជាក់ស្ដែងយើងឃើញថាពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងមួយចំនួនដូចជារវាងនយោជកក៏ដូចជាអ្នកបញ្ជាទិញក៏ដូចជា brand យើងឃើញថាសហជីពយើងកន្លងមកយើងទទួលបានតែត្រឹមតែការដឹងឮទេប៉ុន្តែយើងអត់ទទួលបាននៅការឱកាសក្នុងការផ្ដល់យោបល់ដែលលើកយកបញ្ហាកម្មករដែលតម្រូវការរបស់កម្មករជាក់ស្ដែងយកទៅដាក់បញ្ចូលនៅក្នុងគេហៅថាកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងយើងអត់បានមានសម្លេងដាក់បញ្ចូលទេប៉ុន្តែនយោជកគាត់ពង្រៀងហើយនៅពេលដែលគាត់ត្រូវចុះហត្ថលេខាជាមួយនឹងដៃគូគាត់គ្រាន់តែបង្ហាញឲ្យយើងបានដឹងអញ្ចឹងណាឲ្យដឹងថាអូគេមានគោលនយោបាយគេមានច្បាប់គេមានកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងមានអីគឺយើងបានធំតែដឹងទេអានេះអ្វីដែលយើងទទួលបានបទពិសោធន៍ផ្ទាល់អញ្ចឹងអានឹងជាបញ្ហារបស់សហជីពដែរបើសិនជាកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងមួយហ្នឹងឬក៏ច្បាប់មួយហ្នឹងវាមានសម្លេងក៏ដូចជាយោបល់របស់សហជីពនៅក្នុងហ្នឹងខ្ញុំគិតថាវាប្រសើរព្រោះដោយសារសហជីពគាត់ទទួលបានគេហៅថាមតិយោបល់ក៏ដូចជាតម្រូវការពីកម្មករមកជាក់លាក់អញ្ចឹងបើសិនគាត់បានដាក់បញ្ចូលវាជារឿងមួយល្អអានេះវាជាបញ្ហារបស់សហជីពដែរដោយសារគាត់មិនសូវមានឱកាសអញ្ចឹងណាហើយទី2ទៀតយើងឃើញថាបើសិនជាមានការផ្សព្វផ្សាយឲ្យបានទូលំទូលាយរវាងគេហៅត្រីភាគីបូកណាត្រីភាគីបូករវាងនយោជកbrandក៏ដូចអ្នកជាទិញក៏ដូចជាខាងរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលគាត់ធ្វើការផ្សព្វផ្សាយបានទូលំទូលាយយើងឃើញថានេះវាជាផលប្រយោជន៍ដែលចំណេញទាំងអស់គ្នាទាំងយោជកទាំងកម្មករក៏ដូចជារាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលផងដែរប៉ុន្តែខាងសហជីពយើងសង្ឃឹមថានឹងទទួលបាននៅគេហៅថាការផ្សព្វផ្សាយមួយឲ្យទូលំទូលាយឲ្យដឹងដល់កម្មករផងដែរព្រោះច្បាប់ទាំងនេះវាពាក់ព័ន្ធដល់កម្មករផងដែរវាពាក់ព័ន្ធនឹងការផ្ដល់ផលប្រយោជន៍ដល់កម្មករហ្នឹងសម្រាប់ខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យមានអញ្ចឹងព្រោះដោយសារបច្ចុប្បន្នយើងទទួលស្គាល់ថាវាថ្មីសម្រាប់យើងទាំងអស់គ្នាអញ្ចឹងសង្ឃឹមថានឹងមានការផ្សព្វផ្សាយមួយឲ្យបានទូលំទូលាយផងដែរចា៎អរគុណច្រើនចា៎
Thank you very much. That's really very insightful. You know, I've been working on this CSDDD and engagement for the past 2.5 years or so, and every day there's something new to learn. Like you say, this is still very new, and we don't know how to engage workers in a proper way. And this is very helpful. So an interesting perspective of maybe one thing you mentioned is having connecting laws in the production countries. That's a very interesting perspective, I think. Of course, there are laws in Cambodia, for example, but how do they connect to the legislation in the market? The actual worker engagement, yes, I thought it was very interesting to hear your suggestion to have the unions be included in negotiations with or maybe not the negotiation, but at least in the talks between the buyers and the suppliers. That they are often not there. There's agreement between the two parties, but where are the workers in that? And maybe this due diligence, meaningful stakeholder engagement can add to that. Interesting perspective. And of course, the awareness. It's also new. We need to understand it better. And I'm very happy to know that, for example, GIZ, CNV, also present here, I think, are doing a lot of work on educating, or let's say empowering trade unions on the topic of CSDDD. Thank you very much for your comprehensive answer to this question. And we'll come back in a moment. I'd like to move to the brand side now. Brands have been mentioned, of course. Anastasia, you work with H&M. You've worked personally, I think, a lot on dispute mechanisms, on worker and community engagement, human rights impact assessments. I mean, you've worked on the full breadth of the field. And I also know that your company is actively exploring on how to implement meaningful stakeholder engagement in this new context. But I think you've actually been engaged already longer in this meaningful stakeholder engagement, right? So for you, even before the law, or regardless of the law, let's say, what is the function of worker engagement in your due diligence as a brand? Why is it important to you? And how do you collaborate with your suppliers and maybe with the trade unions, as Chenda said, to foster a culture of meaningful worker engagement in your supply chain?
Thank you so much for the question. I'll start with the importance. It's really important for us that we see dialogue as a business driver. So that sets the tone for why we engage and how we engage. We also see worker engagement and dialogue important because for us it promotes continuous learning. If we didn't engage with trade union representatives or on some level workers and in other levels organizations that work with workers, then we wouldn't really have access to what was really happening on the ground, but also to cross-check the data that we get from our suppliers. It's also an opportunity for us to drive innovation and value creation via our suppliers. A whole part of worker engagement and dialogue is building the capacity of our suppliers to understand our expectations and needs from a brand perspective. And we do that because, and I'll just quickly jump into some of the challenges that we often see, worker engagement and dialogue is often approached from a compliance mindset. And I think you need to move away from that in order to really understand what meaningful engagement is. And part of that conversation with suppliers is trying to get them to understand that. And we often see that some of our suppliers don't really have a good understanding of the value and impact that worker engagement can have because of the fear and stigma that is associated. So going back to your point about some brands saying they don't want to engage with trade unions for various reasons. And you know, perhaps that happened a lot in the past, but I think there are a lot of good examples today of how a working proactive relationship can look like. And for us at H&M, apologies, Sikadu actually is one of our partners in our NMC, so that's called the National Monitoring Committee that we have set up with trade unions here in our factories. That is a joint discussion, and Nazma is also one of our NMC members here today. It's not about us saying this is what we want, you go ahead and go do it. It's more about, hey, we think gender-based violence is really important, and you've told us it's important. How should we go about doing this? So it's coming up with guidelines and actions together and sense-checking and cross-checking those actions together and then utilizing trade union reps and their worker committees to roll things out, right? So it's creating those partnerships on the ground. Of course, suppliers are in that equation, but, and they have to
Are they
be.
actually physically there, or are they part of the equation? How do you do that?
Okay, it varies across different markets and contexts, but for our strategic suppliers, because in H&M we have a difference between what is strategic and what is non-strategic based on risk and based on volume. So for our strategic suppliers, they have to be part of the conversation. It's not you're not being informed, you're required to be integrated into the work. So we expect you to create access. We expect you to engage and plan together. That is the level of expectation. However, in practice, of course, that can be more challenging, and that takes time. You know, we have to move away from the tick box, and we need to go towards impact, and that transition takes time. So I agree with everything Nazma has said earlier, but to apply a practical mindset to it takes a little bit of time, and it takes learning, and it takes mistakes to try and overcome some of those challenges, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we have to have the courage to make mistakes. Yeah, we won't get it right.
No,
in the beginning, right? It's bound to be difficult.
Yeah, and it's a learning process. It's not something that can happen overnight, especially for those that don't have, for suppliers that don't have a very strong foundation in the topics, in the areas that we're trying to address at the end of the day.
Or the brands, for that matter, don't always have a very robust comprehension of it either. That's very interesting. Yeah, let's keep that in mind, that we should be able to make mistakes on our way to doing it better. Let's not be afraid of that. Very interesting. So moving away from compliance to impact, yes?
Yes.
That's the sort of the holy grail. I don't know if that's the correct analogy. I also wanted to mention, one thing that you mentioned was cross-check the information you get from suppliers. So you actually use workers as sort of an extra source, or not an extra source.
So we
how do you do that?
Yeah, we work a lot with worker committees.
Right.
So again, it does vary in production markets, but and just to be clear here, I'm speaking about my experience in Cambodia and Vietnam, and I'm also speaking to tier ones, not further down the value chain, just to be very clear on those things. So in Vietnam, for example, we have a lot of worker committees in our factories, and we leverage various organizations to help build the capacity of these committees within the factory, of course with the approval and approval from the supplier. But what happens is, on a monthly basis, we'll ask a supplier to upload all the data that we are trying to track and monitor. And in order for us to cross-check those, we have audits, we have surveys, and I know you say surveys might not be as meaningful as they should be, and I agree, not on their own, but we do worker voice surveys. And you know, in particular, we work with a program under If Matal called Swedish Workplace, where they actually go and visit some of the factories and work directly with the committees.
Right.
So that's
rather
also
than you going in there. Okay.
Rather than us, I think.
Okay. That makes sense. Thanks very much.
That's okay.
I mean, there's lots more to say about it, I'm sure. But I would like actually to move to the voice of the supplier at this table, to Farouk. Now, Farouk, your company produces home textiles. You're a mid-sized company, I believe. You're 250 workers, if that's correct, but you can correct me as well. I just wanted to sing your praise a little bit on the leadership work that you do also as an advocate for your sector as a whole. Not only for your own company, through the Manufacturer Association APUMA in Pakistan. So I think in everything that you do, of course, your relationship with European brands is quite important. That's big part of your market, and the context maybe for due diligence as we talk about CSDDD. So obviously you talk from your perspective. Nevertheless, I think we can extrapolate somewhat, like with Anastasia, to the role of suppliers in general. How do you see your role, and how do you communicate with your customers, with the brands or the buyers regarding worker engagement, or how do they communicate with you? Because the brands are responsible for due diligence, not you, but you have a clear role to play in that, and brands are responsible for worker engagement, not you, but it's your workers. How does that work?
Thank you, Alexander, and also thank you, GIZ, for honoring me to represent my country and also the SME sector of Pakistan, because it's quite a large sector in our country. The SMEs make up a huge percentage of our exports, and the big players are less, and the medium or lower and on the small and medium enterprises are more than the larger ones. So the voice needs to be heard for this sector as well. And my own company, for example, it's 300 workers in my company. It's a small enterprise, but we are working with good brands in Europe, and it's a good business. Regarding the brands and the due diligence for the workers' engagement, I personally think that it's more on the supplier side, the due diligence, and not on the brand side, because in the SME sector, there are mid-range and the lower-range brands involved. And for those, they don't really care for the actual due diligence on this. And that's on the supplier side. They only care for the general certifications, such as the BSCI, that's the Code of Conduct, and then there's SEDEX. And for the US market, there's a workplace conditions assessment. But once the process is done, 2 years and 3 years after the certification, we hear nothing on part of the brand or the company. But we have, it's on the supplier part, we have to do on our part the due diligence process. And it's very difficult, I must say, because of the culture barriers. The norms in Pakistan are a bit different. Women empowerment is a big issue in Pakistan. It was before, it has been solved now, not all of it, but it's evolving. And we've grown past that phase now. GIZ, on the other hand, is also helping us a lot. I'm very happy to say that I've joined hands with GIZ 4 months ago or 6 months ago, and their team have been coming to our factory, other factories in our other cities, and very proactively they are promoting empowering women. And even for my own factory, I had 40% of women workforce, and now it's going to increase to 60% very hopefully. On the part of due diligence, the biggest cultural norm is that the taboo is that women cannot speak for themselves in Pakistan. If there's always, they have to keep silent whenever there's a problem, and their voice is not heard, even if they are being underpaid, even if they are not paid on the right time, if their basic facilities are not given to them, they cannot speak for themselves. So with now we have committees being formed up, and we are solving those problems. We are having supervisors, women supervisors, who can better address to their problems. We have committees, we have now director level involvement sessions with the workers, so these problems can be fixed. And I'm happy to say that these are on a better stage now. Thank you.
Thanks. And you're mentioning GIZ as one of the organizations that helped you overcome some of those initial barriers. It's again, like I said, I'm learning every day. But of course, yeah, if in a culture women are not supposed to speak for themselves, then this fantastic term worker engagement gets a very different connotation. But you're taking a very active role in countering that problem.
Yes,
is it working?
It's working, yes. It's working because speaking, I think, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it wasn't the case. Women were not heard. It was a male-dominated society, even in the industrial sector. But now we see many examples, not just my company. It's still 40%. It's not a big number. We are targeting it for 60%. But other factories, other SMEs, other bigger industries in Pakistan, they have a growing number of women working. And even in my own city, in Multan, it's a center of Pakistan. We have a new garment factory set up, and it's all women industry, and it's 3,000 women workers working, only women working in the region. So it's a good change we've seen.
Great, thanks, thanks very much. That's great to hear. You're facing the barriers head on, let's say. Yeah. I'm going to get back to you in the second round because I want to hear more about the impact you think it's having, also on your position as a supplier. But I'd like to move to Tanida. Tanida, of course, your organization aims to get companies and their supply chains ready for good due diligence. That's fantastic. And one of the elements in this that you use are digital solutions for worker grievance mechanisms. Again, worker grievance mechanisms, like social dialogue, is not the same as meaningful stakeholder engagement. Surveys are not the answer. However, everything put together, could paint the picture. So maybe even some of the principles that were introduced from a meaningful stakeholder engagement can be applied to some of the elements that you're working on. Very interested to hear your point of view on what is meaningful engagement and how does that go beyond, let's say, information sharing or consulting, and specifically how your company Bridgebox supports those processes, please.
Thank you, GIZ, for having me, and thank you for the opportunity just to share. So I think I have a good opportunity to work across industry and with the different roles in the past 25 years, from the assessor, capacity builders, trainers, and also the conflict mediator, between the unions and the employers in the different countries. So I see a lot of situations where the workers feel so upset that, they did not, their voice were not heard, they feel so bad, they feel so insecure, unsafe, they are afraid of non-retaliation and retaliations, right? I can see a lot of factories management that really have a commitment, but they got pressure just to solve the problem without knowing that where the root cause coming from. But we have to fix it, but we don't know where is it, and we don't really trust that this is the issue, but we have to fix it, right? And I saw a lot of brands that really had a high commitment to really want to do it quickly, timely, because you got a lot of pressure from the public. And I see a lot of unions, CSO that struggling. They really want us to be part of, solution. They really want us to work hand in hand with the brands, with the companies, to solve the problem for the workers. And with those challenges, I just somehow working in the sustainability and being the practitioner myself, I think that there should be something that we can't figure it out. And to be honest, I feel so overwhelmed because here today, Cambodian actually is my application, the first prototype was used with the Cambodian workers in Bangkok during COVID-19. When the construction site were locked down and majority of the workers were Cambodian, at that time, I found out we need to do something. So I started a prototype, very simple, and using that through the NGOs, asking the NGOs who are the leaders in the camp and just, work directly with the Cambodian workers in the construction site. So that's how we coming from. And again, like you just mentioned, grievance mechanism and social dialogue, actually it's just a tool. It's just a tool, but it's a very important tool, right? And when we address this one, we always look at this as the tool, but actually the methodology, the process, how to use that tool is more important, right? How you actually onboarding people in the process, making sure they understand the tool, understand the challenge that they have, understand that they have the lack of access to your device, good platform, internet. Those kind of things are so important, and spend time with them just to onboarding, not only for the workers, but also for the factories as well. So for me, the platform itself should not only serve one single party, because we have so many people in the same page that have the same goal, because we want to improve the working conditions and improve the performance of the organizations. So that's why I just decided just to create the prototype a few years back. And the other thing is actually the work that I did with Farewell Foundation in Myanmar inspired me to do it. what I saw in that process is, there's a grievance coming in, complaint handler had to take a lot of time. There's, it's so hard for them just to track the progress. The brand really want to do it, but they don't really know how to intervene in the process, in which, way, and the factories pressure just to do something. Right? So that's why I come out with the digital technology, the end-to-end solution that accommodate the shared responsibility of everyone. So the design of the platform actually is, I really value the inclusive design. So basically we design with the CSOs, we design with the workers, and we design with the factories. Right? Because we wanted to make it like very simple and very friendly. So many times that we focus on the workers who submit the case, and we forget about the case manager and the companies, right? That they really need just to deal with the case. So how can we create the platform that everyone's brands, civil societies, trade unions, to be on the same page, see things the same way, and focus on the case, not a person, to avoid the bias. And that is the huge challenge, because for me, engagement is the human interaction between human and human, not the organizations. Because even you talk about the brand, it's somebody in the brand who deal with it. If you talk about the factory, you change a person, the approach change. You talk about the union, you talk about the workers, things change because it's about human interaction. So that's why the way that we design the digital platform is human-centered approach, and making sure that the way that we handle the case based on the case and focus on the case, not a person.
Thank you. That's very good to hear. So you're working a lot on tools, but it is about the human connection, right? I mean, and everything in between. I see you also sort of get this picture of a big film set where you are the assistant director or the director, and you try to make everything come together and work, and in the end, different people have different roles to play, but they all need to come together. Must be fascinating work that you're doing. I think we have about 20-25 minutes left, and I would like to do a 20. Okay, we'll work with what we have. I'd like to do a quick round before we also hopefully have some time for questions. Quick round on impact and, let's say, good practices, bad practices, maybe practices, experiences. So Chengda, maybe starting with you, what kind of mechanisms or good practices, or indeed bad practices, do you see, and what is how do you see impact of engagement?
ចាអរគុណច្រើនទៅដល់លោកដែលបានសួរសំណួរបើពីខ្ញុំសហជីពយើងឃើញថាជាបទពិសោធន៍ក្នុងការបរិងសមត្ថភាពទៅដល់ថ្នាក់ដឹកនាំសហជីពក៏ដូចជាកម្មករយើងឃើញថានៅកម្ពុជាជាង10ឆ្នាំមុនកម្មករគាត់អត់សូវចេះពីច្បាប់ទេអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលមានបញ្ហាកើតឡើងកាលណាគាត់តវ៉ាអត់បានគាត់ទាមទារអត់បានគឺបាតកម្មប្រាវហើយអញ្ចឹងនៅកម្ពុជាលើកមុនគឺអញ្ចឹងប៉ុន្តែបើសិនជាបន្ទាប់ពីយើងមានច្បាប់សហជីពមានគោលការណ៍មានគោលនយោបាយត្រឹមត្រូវអញ្ចឹងយើងធ្វើការបដិបដាលបរិងសមត្ថភាពទៅដល់ថ្នាក់ដឹកនាំសហជីពក៏ដូចជាផ្សព្វផ្សាយទៅដល់កម្មករអំពីច្បាប់អំពីសិទ្ធិក៏ដូចជាប្រកាសអីផ្សេងឬក៏គោលនយោបាយដែលពាក់ព័ន្ធនានាអញ្ចឹងយើងឃើញថាយើងមានភាពល្អប្រសើរឡើងចំពោះការអនុវត្តច្បាប់ក៏ដូចជាសិទ្ធិរបស់កម្មករហើយអញ្ចឹងចំពោះdiligence របស់យើងនេះបើយើងនិយាយទៅវាជារឿងមួយថ្មីរបស់សហជីពក៏ដូចជានយោជកក៏ដូចជាអ្នកពាក់ព័ន្ធចំពោះសហជីពពីខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យមានការពង្រឹងសមត្ថភាពទៅដល់សហជីពក៏ដូចជាកម្មករនយោជិតដើម្បីឲ្យគាត់មានការយល់ដឹងហើយក៏ជាភាពងាយស្រួលក្នុងការតំណាក់តំណងទៅដល់នយោជកក៏ដូចជា brand ក៏ដូចជាអ្នកបញ្ជាទិញងាយស្រួលក្នុងការទៅជែកពិភាក្សាគ្នាក៏ដូចជានៅក្នុងការលើកឡើងនៅបញ្ហាមួយចំនួនរបស់កម្មករដាក់បញ្ចូលទៅក្នុងគោលនយោបាយមួយចំនួនឬក៏កិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងចំនួនវាជាការល្អហើយជាពិសេសទៅទៀតនោះគឺយើងឃើញថាបើសិនជាអាចមានការផ្ដល់ឱកាសឲ្យសហជីពក៏ដូចជាដៃគូបានទៅដកស្រង់យកបទពិសោធន៍នៅក្រៅប្រទេសថានៅអឺរ៉ុបគេអនុវត្តច្បាប់នឹងមុនអញ្ចឹងអឺរ៉ុបធ្វើយ៉ាងម៉េចដើម្បីឲ្យមានភាពល្អប្រសើរឡើងចំពោះការអនុវត្តច្បាប់នេះអញ្ចឹងពីសហជីពហើយក៏ដូចជាបងប្អូនកម្មករនៅកម្ពុជាយើងចង់ទទួលបាននៅបទពិសោធន៍ដែលថ្មីហើយដែលល្អថាធ្វើយ៉ាងម៉េចដើម្បីឲ្យល្អហើយឲ្យមានភាពប្រសើរហើយឲ្យចំណេញទាំងអស់គ្នាទាំងយោជកទាំងកម្មករនយោជិតរបស់យើងអញ្ចឹងវាជារឿងមួយល្អហើយទី2ទៀតការផ្ដល់ឱកាសរបស់យើងឃើញថាវាជាឱកាសមួយល្អនៅក្នុងការដាក់បញ្ចូលនៅសម្លេងរបស់កម្មករក៏ដូចជាតម្រូវការរបស់កម្មករចូលទៅក្នុងគោលនយោបាយឬក៏កិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងមួយចំនួនជាពិសេសពាក់ព័ន្ធរឿងស្ត្រីផងដែរនៅក្នុងនោះវាជារឿងមួយល្អហើយមួយទៀតគឺយើងមើលឃើញថាសហជីពក៏បានចូលរួមចំណែកមួយដ៏សំខាន់នៅក្នុងការអភិវឌ្ឍក៏ដូចជាការជួយគាំទ្រទៅដល់កិច្ចការមួយចំនួនដែលនៅក្នុងរោងចក្រឬក៏សហគ្រាសរបស់ខ្លួនកំពុងតែធ្វើការនឹងឯងក៏ដូចជាគោលនយោបាយថ្នាក់ជាតិផងដែរព្រោះដោយសារសហជីពយើងធ្វើការជាមួយទាំងមូលដ្ឋានជាមួយទាំងថ្នាក់ជាតិក៏ដូចជាបើសិននិយាយពីស៊ីកាឌូយើងធ្វើការតំណែងទៅដល់សហជីពអន្តរជាតិទៀតយើងជាសមាជិករបស់សហជីពអន្តរជាតិដែរដូចជា ITUC ក៏ដូចជា Industrial អីជាដើមអញ្ចឹងវាជារឿងមួយល្អចាហើយបើសិនជាអាចទៅរួចគឺយើងចង់ឲ្យមានសម្លេងកម្មករចូលរួមនៅក្នុងការទៅជែកពិភាក្សាគ្នាជាមួយនឹងយោជកឬក៏ brand ឬក៏អ្នកបញ្ជាទិញនៅក្នុងការអនុវត្តកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងឬក៏គោលនយោបាយមួយចំនួននៅក្នុងនឹងដើម្បីឲ្យមានសម្លេងកម្មករនៅក្នុងនឹងដែរវាជារឿងមួយល្អអញ្ចឹងណាហើយបើសម្រាប់សហជីពផងដែរយើងចង់ឲ្យមានការអនុវត្តនឹងប្រកបដោយប្រសិទ្ធភាពក៏ដូចជាភាពត្រឹមត្រូវរបស់ច្បាប់មួយនេះគឺយើងឃើញថាតំណាងកម្មករវាជារឿងសំខាន់ណាស់នៅក្នុងការចូលរួមដោយលោកស្រីដែលបានលើកឡើងអញ្ចឹងថាគ្រប់រឿងយើងអាចចោលសហជីពបានទេអញ្ចឹងសមាជិកសហជីពសំខាន់នៅក្នុងការជួយជ្រោមជ្រែងទៅដល់ការអភិវឌ្ឍមួយនេះផងដែរអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំគិតថាសំខាន់ខ្លាំងមែនតើហើយក៏ដូចជាយើងចង់ចូលរួមចំណែកនៅក្នុងការពិនិត្យនិងតាមដានការវិយតម្លៃប្រកបដោយប្រសិទ្ធភាពផងដែរព្រោះដោយសារធម្មតាតែកាលណាយើងអនុវត្តទៅយើងត្រូវការដឹងឮដែរថាការអនុវត្តទៅវាមានភាពរលូនកម្រិតណាហើយក៏វាមានបញ្ហាអីខ្លះនៅក្នុងការអនុវត្តហ្នឹងឬមួយក៏គោលនយោបាយឬក៏កិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងហ្នឹងធ្វើឲ្យមានហើយនៅក្នុងរោងចក្រសហគ្រាសហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែការអនុវត្តនោះវាបានស៊ីជម្រៅកម្រិតណាអញ្ចឹងណាហើយរាល់រឿងរបស់កម្មករដែលបានលើកឡើងដាក់ទៅជែកពិភាក្សាដោយលោកស្រីគាត់លើកឡើងថាមិនដឹងសារទុកដែលលើកទៅដល់ក្រុមហ៊ុននោះតើក្រុមហ៊ុនគាត់មានវិធានការយ៉ាងម៉េចឬក៏រាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលហ្នឹងគាត់មានការចូលរួមចំណែកកម្រិតណានៅក្នុងការដោះស្រាយរាល់បញ្ហាទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងអ្វីពីសហជីពគឺយើងចង់ឃើញចង់ឮជារបៀបហ្នឹងព្រោះដោយសារយើងចង់ចូលរួមនៅក្នុងកិច្ចពិភាក្សាក៏ដូចជាការសន្ទនានៅក្នុងកិច្ចសន្ទនាសង្គមឬក៏តំណែងតំណងវិជ្ជាជីវៈហ្នឹងយើងចង់ឲ្យមានសម្លេងសហជីពដើម្បីឲ្យមានសម្លេងកម្មករចូលទៅក្នុងកិច្ចសន្ទនាហ្នឹងផងដែរចាអរគុណច្រើនចា
Thank you very much. That's a lot of very important and relevant information. Capacity building coming back each time, very, very clearly, monitoring impact. And also I think you mentioned, if I understood correctly, that if we strengthen meaningful stakeholder engagement in the context of due diligence, it can also empower the union in a broader sense, and not only in the context of this legislation. Right. And the exchange, of course, between unions, even between countries, maybe at ITUC level, maybe they could take this up. That would be fantastic. Anastasia, from your perspective, I was almost going to say quick fire, but it's also really important to unpack it. Impact and effectiveness.
Yes, so there's three key things I want to mention here. Impact for us has really come from our global framework agreement and the setup of our national monitoring committees that are made up of H&M, industrial, IFMETAL, and union representatives across our production markets. This is really how we work on impact via this group, because our union reps are in our factories, they're rolling out the GBVH guideline. They are also case handling. So we spoke briefly about grievance mechanisms, and that's something that we look at as well. And in fact, we measure functionality of grievance mechanisms yearly. And this information is shared to our committees, our national monitoring committees. But one thing that happens above the grievance mechanism or after is case handling, escalation processes, et cetera. Because one message we always say to our suppliers is, yes, have a functioning grievance mechanism, but factory cases should be handled as much as possible within the factory and your workers. But if that is not possible, then there needs to be a clear and trusted escalation process. And that is something that we have created with our NMCs. And that gets updated and, in fact, will get rolled out again next month. But this is effectiveness here, because there's a trusted system and a clear structure in that sense. The other impact I just want to mention briefly is quite often when we think about suppliers, we think factory management as the highest order, right? General manager makes the decisions, it gets trickled down. But in our experience, when it comes to case handling, when it comes to grievance mechanisms, FOA issues, all of those things, HR needs to get involved. And most of the time, HR doesn't get the direct training from the supplier. So it's when we're thinking about impact and we're thinking about effectiveness, then that stakeholder needs to understand expectation, needs to understand how to engage with the unions and how to manage expectations and cases, but most importantly, access to factories. That is something that we have included in our GFA this year, and rolling that training out to suppliers is super important, right? Because their first reaction is going to be, now you're telling me that every union can come to our factory whenever they want. And it's creating the dialogue and the communication around that to make sure that both union reps and factories understand the conditions, but also the reasons why. And access to data is one of those reasons in that sense.
And don't forget the HR department when you train.
HR
Right, fantastic. Thanks. Farouk, you're in between the workers and the buyers. How do you see worker engagement from the buyer perspective, engaging workers, change actual situation on the floor? And how can it maybe also influence the buyer's own behavior?
In my opinion, I think that it directly affects the buyer in terms that for all the manufacturers, there's when we are engaged with the workers, we, number one, increase the productivity. We decrease the absenteeism, and thirdly, there's lower defect rate. 3 major points, and these are very considerable for every buyer, be it a big brand or a small brand. And these 3 points I would further clarify how that when we address the problems, for example, women, speaking generally, if they have problems and they're addressed very well, proper facilities are provided to them, and if they are facing any problems on any harassment or any wage problems, if they're facing, and if they are solved, the absenteeism goes low, and then there's, when they are happy with their work, when they are more engaged and more loyal towards their work, the productivity increases. And when the productivity increases, there are timely shipments. And with the timely shipments, the buyer is happy. With the lower defect rate, the buyer is happy. So it does create a good impact, I would believe.
And does it also influence the buyer's behavior, you think, not only in giving you more orders, but also in terms of how they maybe treat you as a supplier?
Yes, definitely does. It does. Because when there's a good relationship with the buyer with regards to the on-time deliveries and the quality product, there are no defect rates, and it goes into a long-term relationship with the buyer. It promises business over the years, not just
I understand,
one
but I
time.
mean, actually, besides the productivity point, if buyers understand better what's happening to workers, does that influence their behavior? For example, if they say the wages are too low, are the prices going up?
No, because on this, I don't have a clear answer.
It's too simple, I'm sorry.
No, I was saying that I don't have a clear answer on this because I speak for the medium enterprises. And again, as I said before, for the medium enterprises, our voice is not heard by the brands or
They just
or
want
the
you to
customers.
certificate.
And it's all on our own. We just get the certificates, and then the factory plays its part of due diligence on their own, and they have to answer it to their own culture, to their own norms. And it's a moral and ethical value for us, more than the certification.
Got it. Well, let's see how the regulation is going to impact that or not. Good point. Great. Tanita, from your point of view, you already mentioned a few key elements in effectivity, and what about impact? Do you see it, if it's done well, and you've painted the picture of how it can be done well, do you see it actually drive impact in the whole of the supply chain approach?
Yeah, of course. I think, I think just to align with you as well, the reasons that we need the technology because we have so many people just to, to support in this process, and SME is one of this, right? Because human rights due diligence, we not only just address as the first tier, but we also talking about raw material suppliers, second tier, third tiers, and the technology can actually help. Just to get people on the same data and transparency. And for me, the impact will happen if we really need just to integrate the engagement in the management system and really make it like a long term. And I'm not only talking about like the management system of the companies, the management system of the supplier, but also the management system of the union as well. Right? Because in terms of engagement, with the other stakeholder, we really need to have a clear set of visions and missions of the organizations too, that how we going to engage with the others, right? And we talk about like all sides of organizations. And the other ones that I can see, it's like, how we can achieve to the joint decision making with the power with instead of like the power over approach. I think this is one of the most important approach because in order just to make it sustainable and long-term, we really need just to understand like the power dynamic, power imbalance, and have the skill and have a chance to learn the skill, and not just only like, the companies to learn the skill. And like you mentioned that we're not talking about only like the top management. We're talking about the middle management. We're talking about the supervisors as well, right? Who actually are confronting with the conflict on the ground. And they need the capacity just to raise it up and have the skill just to handle it before it's escalated to become like the big issues. And including the unions, I totally support our digital platform also being used by the union as well. And I'm happy that you're gonna use it as well. Okay, CSOs, unions, all kinds of stakeholders that actually involved in this process should have the skill set.
Thanks. A very practical approach. And if it doesn't work in practice, it doesn't work for anyone, right? So yeah, that's a good part. Well, I think we have time for one or two questions. I see one there, very eager one. So please, if, I don't know if there is a microphone. Yes, there is. Great. Go ahead. Yeah, somebody will switch it on, I'm sure.
Hello.
Yeah.
ដោយសារសំណួរខ្ញុំចង់សួរទៅបងចិនដាអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំសូមនិយាយខ្មែរមកណាបងចាជំរាបសួរបងខ្ញុំលីដាពីខាង H&M ក្រុមការងាររបស់លោកស្រី Anastasia ដែរអរគុណដែលបងបានផ្ដល់ជាធាតុចូលល្អមែនតែនពីខាងពីទស្សនៈយកឃើញពីបងប្អូនសហជីពណាបងអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំមានសំណួរមួយចង់ឲ្យបងជួយចែកម្លែកបទពិសោធន៍ជាក់ស្ដែងហ្មងពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងតើមានវិធីសាស្ត្រល្អអីខ្លះពាក់ព័ន្ធនឹងការចូលរួមពង្រឹងសមត្ថភាពហើយនឹងចំណេះដឹងរបស់ជាពិសេស ថ្នាក់ដឹកនាំសហជីពមូលដ្ឋានដែលគាត់នៅប្រចាំផ្ទាល់នៅតាមសហគ្រាសរោងចក្រសហគ្រាសណាបងធ្វើយ៉ាងណាដើម្បីចំណេះដឹងនិងសមត្ថភាពរបស់គាត់ពាក់ព័ន្ធជាពិសេសរឿងច្បាប់និងគោលការណ៍នានាតាក់ទងជាមួយសិទ្ធិនិងការទទួលខុសត្រូវរបស់ពួកគាត់នឹងមានភាពប្រសើរឡើងពីព្រោះដូចបងលើកអញ្ចឹងគឺនេះជាកត្តាសំខាន់ដើម្បីពង្រឹងសមត្ថភាពគាត់ក៏ដូចជាលើកកម្ពស់គាត់ឲ្យអាចចូលរួមប្រកបដោយអត្ថន័យជាមួយនឹងផែនការអភិវឌ្ឍរបស់សហគ្រាសឬក៏កន្លែងការងារគាត់ផ្ទាល់តែម្ដងអញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាបងអាចជួយចែករំលែកពីវិធីសាស្ត្រដែលបងធ្លាប់ធ្វើល្អកន្លងមកអរគុណច្រើន
Thank you. And is that, do you have a particular person in mind on the panel, or is it general? Okay. Jenna, please.
ចាអរគុណផងដែរបងអូនស្រីដែលបានសួរសំណួរពីបទពិសោធន៍ល្អៗដែលខាងសហព័ន្ធសហជីពរបស់ខាងខ្ញុំបានជួយពង្រឹងក៏ដូចជាដោះស្រាយទៅដល់សហជីពនៅមូលដ្ឋានក៏ដូចជាកម្មករដែលគាត់ជួបប្រទះនៅបញ្ហាចាកន្លងមក CSC យើងមានវគ្គបណ្ដុះបណ្ដាលស្ដីពីការពង្រឹងសមត្ថភាពរបស់ពួកគាត់ដែលជាថ្នាក់ដឹកនាំសហជីពមូលដ្ឋានហ្នឹងក៏ដូចជាកម្មករទូទៅដើម្បីគាត់មានការយល់ដឹងអំពីច្បាប់អំពីសិទ្ធិក៏ដូចជាសេរីភាពហើយនិងអំពីអត្ថប្រយោជន៍ដែលគាត់ទទួលបានហើយយើងក៏បណ្ដុះបណ្ដាលអំពីសមភាព gender ក៏ដូចជាការពង្រឹងសមត្ថភាពស្ត្រីដើម្បីក្លាយជាថ្នាក់ដឹកនាំផងដែរអញ្ចឹងគឺជាអ្វីដែលយើងធ្វើកន្លងមកហើយយើងក៏មានការប្រជុំដើម្បីផ្លាស់ប្ដូរបទពិសោធន៍គ្នាឬក៏បញ្ហាដែលពួកគាត់ជួបប្រទះនៅមូលដ្ឋានហ្នឹងឲ្យគាត់លើកជាមតិយោបល់មកថាមូលដ្ឋានរបស់គាត់ជួបប្រទះបញ្ហាអីខ្លះហើយអញ្ចឹងយើងក៏ទទួលបាននៅគេហៅថាតម្រូវការពួកគាត់ហើយយើងក៏ជួយផ្ដល់យោបល់នៅក្នុងការដោះស្រាយទៅតាមផ្លូវច្បាប់ឲ្យពួកគាត់ផងដែរជាពិសេសគឺនៅសហជីពគឺនៅពេលដែលពួកគាត់មានបញ្ហានៅមូលដ្ឋានហ្នឹងគឺយើងត្រូវតែជួយគាត់ទោះបីថាជួយបានកម្រិតណាក៏ដោយគឺយើងមិនទុកគាត់ចោលទេបើសិនជាយើងមិនរស់រាននៅក្នុងការជួយដោះស្រាយឲ្យគាត់ទេគឺយើងឃើញថាបញ្ហាដែលគាត់ជួបប្រទះមិនត្រូវបានដោះស្រាយដូចជាកន្លងមកយើងមានពាក់ព័ន្ធនឹងការរើសអើងថ្នាក់នាំសហជីពជាស្ត្រីក៏ដូចជាការបៀតបៀនអីជាដើមនៅកន្លែងការងារយើងមានការផ្ដល់ប្រឹក្សាយោបល់ទៅតាមផ្លូវច្បាប់ក៏ដូចជាបើសិនជារឿងនឹងធំពាក់ព័ន្ធនឹងអំពើហិង្សានៅកន្លែងការងារអីក៏យើងមានមេធាវីនៅក្នុងការ process ឯកសារដើម្បីដាក់ទៅតុលាការហើយបើសិននេះគាត់ធម្មតាកម្មករគាត់អត់សូវយល់ដឹងពីច្បាប់អីគាត់ខ្លាចនៅក្នុងការឡើងតុលាការអីក៏យើងអាចថាគាត់ស្នើឲ្យយើងជូនទៅដើម្បីទៅឡើងតុលាការអីចឹងយើងក៏អាចមានការជូនគាត់ដើម្បីទៅតុលាការដើម្បីកុំឲ្យគាត់មានភាពភ័យខ្លាចណាព្រោះកម្មករគាត់អត់ចេះច្បាប់អញ្ចឹងលឺតុលាការគាត់ខ្លាចអញ្ចឹងគឺយើងជួយគាត់អញ្ចឹងហើយយើងក៏មានបង្កើតជាបណ្ដាញស្ត្រីប៉ុន្តែយើងក្នុងបណ្ដាញនោះយើងបង្កើតចំនួន40រោងចក្រប៉ុន្តែសមាជិកភាពពីមួយរោងចក្រម្នាក់មកប៉ុន្តែយើងមានជាស្ត្រីចំនួន30នាក់ទៅជាបុរសចំនួន10នាក់ដើម្បីឲ្យវាមានសមភាព gender ហើយនឹងដើម្បីជាការជួយគ្នានៅពេលដែលពួកគាត់មានបញ្ហាដោះស្រាយនៅក្នុងរោងចក្រសហគ្រាសគាត់អត់បានអញ្ចឹងគណៈកម្មការគេត្រូវជួបជុំគ្នាដើម្បីទៅចែកគ្នាថាយើងគួរតែធ្វើម៉េចពាក់ព័ន្ធផ្លូវច្បាប់ដើម្បីជួយគាត់បន្តទៀតដើម្បីឲ្យគាត់ទទួលបាននៅយុត្តិធម៌ក៏ដូចជាទទួលបាននៅគេហៅថាស្អីដែលជាភាពយុត្តិធម៌របស់គាត់ហើយជាភាពត្រឹមត្រូវរបស់គាត់នឹងយើងធ្លាប់ជួយអញ្ចឹងហើយកន្លងមកយើងធ្វើការច្រើនដើម្បីជួយទៅដល់ពួកគាត់អញ្ចឹងហើយមួយទៀតក៏យើងអាចផ្ដល់ឱកាសឲ្យគាត់ដែលបានចូលរួមនៅក្នុងសង្គមផងដែរឧទាហរណ៍ថាមានវគ្គបណ្ដុះបណ្ដាលឬក៏មានវគ្គសិក្ខាសាលាអីផ្សេងពាក់ព័ន្ធនឹងផ្លូវច្បាប់ផ្លូវអីយើងផ្ដល់ឱកាសឲ្យគាត់បានចូលរួមជាមួយអង្គការជាដៃគូផ្សេងក៏ដូចជាទៅដកស្រង់យកបទពិសោធន៍នៅក្រៅប្រទេសផងដែរព្រោះដោយសារយើងមានដៃគូអន្តរជាតិផងដែរយើងបញ្ជូនគាត់ដើម្បីឲ្យគាត់ទៅបានសិក្សារៀនសូត្រពីសហជីពយើងដែលជារៀមច្បងដែលគាត់កើតសហជីពយូរឆ្នាំហើយណាហើយយើងចង់រៀនសូត្រពីគាត់ថាគាត់ធ្វើម៉េចដើម្បីបានជោគជ័យនឹងដែរអញ្ចឹងយើងមានការផ្ដល់ឱកាសឲ្យគាត់ទៅចូលរួមនៅថ្នាក់អន្តរជាតិផងដែរកន្លងមកយើងធ្វើការងារហ្នឹងហើយ អូខេពាក់ព័ន្ធនឹងវិវាទមួយចំនួនទៀតខ្ញុំសូមនិយាយពីវិវាទមួយចំនួនដែលយើងដោះស្រាយនៅថ្នាក់កម្រិតក្នុងស្រុកយើងអត់បានក៏យើងអាចថាមានតំណែងតំណងអាចដាក់បណ្ដឹងនឹងទៅខាងទីផ្សារទៅខាង brand អីចឹងជាដើមណាដើម្បីឲ្យគាត់ជួយ support ទៅដល់ដំណោះស្រាយនឹងផងដែរក៏ដូចជាយើងមានដៃគូសហជីពអន្តរជាតិITUC ហើយនិង Industrial ផងដែរ
ITUC as you mentioned yes
ហើយដើម្បីគាត់ជួយអន្តរាគមន៍ពោះវិវាទមួយចំនួនដែលតឹងតែងបំផុតក៏យើងដាក់ទៅគាត់ដើម្បីគាត់ជួយគ្រប់គ្រងអញ្ចឹងកន្លងមកក៏យើងមានអញ្ចឹងយើងព្យាយាមជួយគាត់ឲ្យអស់ពីលទ្ធភាពហើយបច្ចុប្បន្ននៅកម្ពុជាក៏យើងមានខេសមួយចំនួនដែលដោះស្រាយអត់ទាន់ចេញដែរពាក់ព័ន្ធនឹងទៅតុលាការដូចជាបណ្ដឹងសារទុកដែលពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅការរើសអើងថ្នាក់ដឹកនាំសហជីពអីអញ្ចឹងមានខេសមួយចំនួនក៏យើងដោះស្រាយអត់ទាន់ចេញប៉ុន្តែយើងនឹងព្យាយាមជួយបរិងគាត់បន្តទៀតជួយដោះស្រាយគាត់បន្តទៀតយើងអត់ទុកគាត់ចោលទេអញ្ចឹងកន្លងមកអញ្ចឹងហើយយើងមានខេសពាក់ព័ន្ធនឹងការរើសអើងដែរដែលចាប់ថ្នាក់ដឹកនាំសហព័ន្ធយកទៅឃុំខ្លួនដែលយើងមិនទាន់ដោះស្រាយចេញគឺយើងនៅបន្តការដោះស្រាយបន្តទៀតអញ្ចឹងយើងឃើញថាជារឿងមួយដែលយើងត្រូវតែជួយត្រូវតែធ្វើហើយក៏ដូចជាបើប្អូនស្រីនិយាយថាតែយើងធ្វើមិនដើម្បីគាត់ទទួលបានភាពល្អប្រសើរក៏ដូចជាទទួលបានយុត្តិធម៌នេះជាសកម្មភាពទាំងអស់ដែលយើងបានជួយគាត់ហ្នឹងហើយក្រៅពីវគ្គបណ្ដុះបណ្ដាលគឺយើងជួយច្រើនចាអរគុណច្រើនចា
Well, that's quite a lot, and there's a lot happening, that's very clear. There's a lot more to be done. I would like to thank you all for your kind participation, your very insightful contributions. I'd also like to thank the organizers, Chan and Tia. Thanks for organizing this panel at GIZ. And thank the audience for bearing with us. If there are any more questions, I'm sure you can find us as we move back to the stage. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Alex, for moderating this panel so efficiently. Very impressive with so many great speakers on the panel. I happened to take over this moderation role quite spontaneously, and I couldn't have hoped for a better setup on the panel with representatives from the private sector, brand, producing industry, NGO initiatives, as well as the union representative from Cambodia. I think this made for a very, very good discussion. We break for coffee now, which I think is good to re-energize a little bit. But just give me 1 minute because I want to explain you how we continue. Because that's important. I want to make sure that you end up in the best possible room that's suitable for you, right? And let me explain let me take you back to the agenda of the session today, where we started with a big picture on how does effective worker engagement work and why is it important. From there we came to the panel where we unpacked this a little bit. And as we unpacked, there were two main trends in this discussion, and those were about tried and tested approaches of worker engagement. We learned about many approaches that worked and many good practices and success stories, but we also learned of some shortcomings and some challenges and the need for innovation and also some innovative solutions that are currently being developed and tried. And this is exactly how we continue in the two breakout sessions. We have one breakout session on the topic of innovative solutions. This is breakout group number 1, innovative solutions for worker engagement. So if you feel naturally drawn to that, or you feel that you can contribute best to this breakout session, please go to the View, which is the name of the room where we will meet. It's on the sixth floor. For those of you who know where the pool is, that's where we will meet. There is a meeting room for those who haven't been there yet, the View, and this is where we talk about innovative solutions for worker engagement. Group number 2, after coffee break, will come back to this room here, the ballroom, and this is where we will talk about grassroots ways of interacting with workers and amplifying the workers' voice, and what role NGOs, CSOs and unions play in that regard. So if that's maybe closer to your work area and where you feel you can contribute, then please come back to the ballroom. Innovation goes up to the 6th floor, and grassroots initiatives come back to the ballroom. Please do so it's now 3:40, so from 3:50, try to be in your respective room, and we come back to the ballroom all together at 5 for the wrap-up. Thank you very much.
ជំរាបសួរបាទខ្ញុំបានឈ្មោះខុនពីរំជា Supervisor ផ្នែកតុកាត់សម្រាប់ផ្នែកតុកាត់របស់ខ្ញុំនៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំចាប់ដើមនៅផ្នែកតុកាត់អត់សិនគឺខ្ញុំនៅទទួលបាននៅពីកដាត់ពីខាងផ្នែកឃ្លាំងដើម្បីយកប្រកាសមុនប្រកាសខ្ញុំទៅយកប្រកាសហ្នឹងយកមកពលាបាទចំណាប់អារម្មណ៍របស់ខ្ញុំពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងកាកសំណល់យើងអាចកែច្នៃគឺជាសម្ភារៈផ្សេងៗទី1ទី2យើងអាចកាត់បន្ថយបរិស្ថានមួយផ្នែកធំ
I'm so excited that you all participated in this to our designers. Thank you for participating in this challenge. It's something really unique that we wanted to try.
So I was trying to think of like ways that I could repurpose the fabric scraps, because those are the hardest materials to bring glass rather than the bigger pieces, and like twisting it and then weaving it into a drink cooler.
ជំរាបសួរបាទខ្ញុំបានឈ្មោះខុនពីរំជា Supervisor ផ្នែកតុកាត់សម្រាប់ផ្នែកតុកាត់របស់ខ្ញុំនៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំចាប់ដើមនៅផ្នែកតុកាត់អត់សិនគឺខ្ញុំនឹងទទួលបាននៅពីកដាត់ពីខាងផ្នែកឃ្លាំងដើម្បីយកប្រកាសមុនប្រកាសខ្ញុំទៅយកប្រកាសហ្នឹងយកមកពលាបាទចំណាប់អារម្មណ៍របស់ខ្ញុំពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងកាកសំណល់យើងអាចកែច្នៃគឺជាសម្ភារៈផ្សេងៗទី1ទី2គឺយើងអាចកាត់បន្ថយបរិស្ថានមួយផ្នែកធំ
I'm so excited that you offered this kind of business to our designers. Thank you for participating in this challenge. It's something really unique that we wanted to try.
So I was trying to think of like ways that I could repurpose the fabric scraps, because those are the hardest materials to bring glass rather than the bigger pieces, and like twisting it and then weaving it into a drink holder.
ជួយសួរបាទខ្ញុំបានឈ្មោះខុនពីរំជា Supervisor ផ្នែកតុកាត់សម្រាប់ផ្នែកតុកាត់របស់ខ្ញុំនៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំចាប់ដើមនៅផ្នែកតុកាត់អត់សិនគឺខ្ញុំនឹងទទួលបាននៅពីកដាត់ពីខាងផ្នែកឃ្លាំងដើម្បីយកប្រកាសមុនប្រកាសខ្ញុំទៅយកប្រកាសហ្នឹងយកមកពលាបាទចំណាប់អារម្មណ៍របស់ខ្ញុំពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងកាកសំណល់យើងអាចកែច្នៃគឺជាសម្ភារៈផ្សេងៗទី1ទី2គឺយើងអាចកាត់បន្ថយបរិស្ថានមួយផ្នែកធំ
I'm so excited that you all participated in this to our designers. Thank you for participating in this challenge. It's something really unique that we wanted to try.
So I was trying to think of like ways that I could repurpose the fabric scraps, because those are the hardest materials to bring glass rather than the bigger pieces, and like twisting it and then weaving it into a drink holder.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. There are probably two sessions going side by side to this one, so this one is the third one. We can well understand why the audience is very little, but we'll continue with our session, and we hope that few more people would join us. So this breakout room, it will concentrate on working with workers at grassroots level, exploring the critical roles of organizations in amplifying workers' voices, including women's representative organizations, civil society groups, and other support actors in amplifying workers' voice. Our speakers will share the strategies for empowering workers, enhancing their skills, and advocating for their rights. I am Ahmed Tasneem, and I'll be the moderator for your session. We will follow the World Cafe format for this session because we want to encourage the interactive discussions. So I see that we have very less audience. What we can do is, we have a good amount of time in order to have these discussions generated, and we have 3 speakers. So rather than dividing this little audience into 3 different groups, we can go one by one. So what we can do is, we will have a round of 20 minutes with each speaker. That speaker will tell you about the initiative, will generate the discussions. You can have your questions with them, can share your reflections, insights with them. And after each round, we'll go to the next speaker. And at the end of the whole group work, we'll come to the plenary again, and the speakers will then share maximum 2 highlights or 3 highlights, which they have taken away from the World Cafe discussion. So let me move towards our speakers. I would now request our speakers to briefly introduce themselves and tell us about the initiative that they are going to represent. Let me begin with Ms. Zinmar and Ms. Doddett over here.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and thank you so much, GIZ, for inviting me. So, my name is Tata Ao. I am director of the Future Life Center. Future Life Center, FLC, Burmese means it's Anaga Linda Soma. So, FLC was established since December 2011. Future Life Center is a civil society organization focus on labor, especially factories workers. For labor, our organization are running many activities. So I think next plan, right?
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Zima from Myanmar, and right now I'm a staff of the CIQUA, GGMBH, is a German organization as well. And also, under the CIQUA, there are 3 projects. One of the projects is MADE, is focusing on the garment sector. And under the 3 projects, there are 3 common acts. One of the common acts is the women advancement. For that component, I'm working as an in charge for the center in that area. And according to the GIZ history, CIQUA history, CIQUA already implemented 5 or 6 women center in Myanmar. Some are partially and some are fully implemented. Today, I will share about the center in Myanmar with Ms. Tata Ao. Our objective is to women workers support to find and retain decent job, as well as to empower their leadership as capacity in garment sector. So if you are interested and would like to learn a little bit about Myanmar, please join our group. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I request Ms. Margaret over there, the group 2, to just introduce herself and her initiative.
Yes. Oh, you can hear me. Hi, everyone. I'll get a little bit out of this corner. Hi, my name is Margot. I work at CNV Internationaal, and we are a Dutch trade union solidarity organization. And we work towards achieving decent work for all throughout different supply chains, such as garment. And we work with our local union partners in Africa, Latin America, and obviously Asia. And we've been working with very closely with trade union partners on topics such as social dialogue and improving collective bargaining. And recently we've really started working on the topic of HRDD together with our local trade union partners. Because we see this as a very valuable topic, a very valuable tool that they can leverage in their work. So that is why we recently launched the HRDD training toolkit for trade unions. It's a bit of a mouthful, I have to say. But that kind of lays the basis for all of the work that we've been doing in support of GIZ Fabric on capacity building for the unions. On HRDD to make sure that they can get involved with this as well, because that kind of taps into what Ms. Chenda was also saying on the panel just right now. We see this as a very important topic. We see them as a very important stakeholder in these conversations, but they're not as often included in capacity building on this topic. So we saw that as a little bit of a blind spot, so to say. So we're tapping into that. So that's what we'll be presenting about in this table discussion.
Thank you, Margaret. Let us move on to the third group. So, Ms. Ann, over to you. There's a button at the bottom. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is An. I'm from an NGO in Vietnam, CDI, the Center for Development and Integration in Vietnam NGO. So thank you for GIZ for inviting me and have me to opportunity sharing about CDI experience in working with worker at grassroots level. From the beginning of this event, we talk about the worker engagement or multi-stakeholder engagement. So I think that we would like to share and learn about how to engage worker meaningfully in the due diligence and how to impact and important role of the CSO and NGO like CDI in Vietnam to engage worker meaningful in engage the CSO as well meaningfully this topic and learn from you and well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I see a few more people have joined us. So what we can do, rather than going to one group at one time, we can divide into two. So I would request you all to please get up, and we can begin with these two initiatives at the front, and then afterwards we'll go to the third one. So over to you, the speakers, Ms. Zinmar, Ms. Doddett, and Ms. An.
I think the number one first.
Yeah, we have divided the groups into two, so half of the people would come to you, half of the would come to you, and then we'll exchange after some time. I'll let you know when we'll get to exchange the people.
No, I don't think so. To share, like, okay, right? You can hear me, right? Yeah?
right. Speakers, if you are done, let us exchange the groups. Should we? Participants, we have very limited time. I would request those who are done with the discussions, please move on towards the other group. Yes, exactly. We would have to switch the groups now. I know there are really good discussions going on. Yeah, we need to switch now. It's not easy, yeah. Let us take as less time as possible in this switching. Dodadat, I think you have got a new group now. And Ms. Ann, you have also got the new group now, so you can start from the beginning. And we again now have 12 to 13 minutes for this discussion. वो मैंने एसोसिएशन में शेयर करना, वो ग्रुप जो हमारा है एसोसिएशन का All right. Should we now move on to the third group? One last minute and then we'll close this discussion and we'll move on to the third group. All right, participants. Due to the time constraints, let's move on to the third group. Thank you so much, speakers and the participants, for the interactive discussions. The third group would be on the HIDD training toolkit, and the speaker is Margaret, who is the program officer for Asia at CNV. So participants, I would like to request you all to please move on to the third group. If you want to have further discussions on that, you can always have that in the break. Obviously, you can have that after the conference as well. And the third group is over there, right next to the door. Over to you, Margaret. Are we done with the discussion? I think that discussion got some really reasonable time. That's great, that's great. Should we get back to our seats? We have some good time. If you want, we can have some questions for the first two groups, because I think for the third group, you are very much content because you got some good amount of time. So any questions for group first or two, we can have that right now, once all of you settle down. So just to repeat, Ms. Zinmar was at the first group. She talked about Women Centers Network in Myanmar. Group 2 at the back, which was led by Ms. Margaret. She talked about HIDT training toolkits for trade unions. And then the third group was for the community-based worker groups led by Ms. An. I would like to open the floor for the questions now. If you have any questions for all the three speakers, you can have that. You can raise the hand and we can just pass on the mic to you. All right, so I think there are no further questions for now. What we can do, we can take a break for 5 minutes max. And then the other group is joining us in this hall, and then we'll have a plenary for the whole 6 groups after 5 minutes. Thank you. already told them, and I'll once again tell them.
I mean, just for like to frame the session, frame the wrap up. Let's say to remind them we had grassroots implementation, we start with the grassroots solution, and then just 1 minute statement, because I also will see and remind people.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the final session, or the wrap-up session actually, of the breakouts that we just had, and actually also of our 2-day conference. But let's do one by one. We really want to make sure that you see the sunset on the rooftop terrace, so let's try to be as efficient as we can, but also concise, right? Because there's still a few things we want everyone to hear. We had 2 breakouts right now. One was on grassroots approaches to worker engagement with NGOs, CSOs, unions, and talking about what worked and how we can leverage those things. And we had another breakout on innovation around worker engagement and grievance mechanisms and such, and what we can learn from that. Maybe some new innovative solutions, and maybe also challenges in rolling out those solutions. And we had in both breakouts, we had 3 cases or speakers, and the idea is that we give some brief insights from both breakouts, what was presented and what were some main topics that were discussed, what were some main issues that came up. And we really try to do this in around 1 or 2 minutes max per speaker, and we start with breakout group 2 on the grassroots solutions.
Yeah, thank you, Aso. Thank you, everyone, for joining the plenary. We have 3 groups in the first breakout session. The first breakout session was on the working with workers at grassroots level. And for that, I would request our first speaker, Ms. Zinmar and Ms. Doddett, to briefly just talk about what was the learnings. You have just 1 minute for that.
Yeah, for the breakout session, I would like to summarize. According to the CIQA, under the CIQA, we successfully implemented 5 or 6 centers, partially or fully implemented in Myanmar. Being centers are, how can I say, to promote or support us to the woman worker in order to retain and find a decent job in the sector, in the garment sector, as well as to empower the leadership scale. So CIQA is just only focusing on the center, focusing on safer migration. So. And also our actual work is to support the garment sector in modern safe migration, and to cancel the social support for the worker, because according to our country's situation, most of the workers are stressful for, how can I say, their survivor cases. That is why for that kind of center, support for women's workers in garment sector. That is why in Myanmar, just only 3 women centers, so we need more center we need more center to establish. This is the how we can get their voices and their experience in work condition, and how can I say their difficulty, and also we can advocate for the relevant stakeholder, for especially on labor rights and how can I say gender-based violence, these kinds of things, etc. We can.
Thank you so much, Ms. Zin. Now I'll move on to the second group, which was led by Ms. Margaret, and the topic was on HIDD toolkit, which CNV International has developed. So, Ms. Margaret.
Thank you. I'll just stand a little bit over here so that everyone can see me and I can see everyone. So hi, my name is Margot. I work at CNV. We're a Dutch trade union solidarity organization. And indeed, for anyone who wasn't there, I presented a little bit about the capacity building that we have been doing for unions in multiple different production countries on HRDD, because we saw that there was a lack of including the unions in not only conversations on HRDD, but also on like making actual investments on involving them and building their capacity on the topic. So that is why we launched the HRDD training toolkit for trade unions. And that kind of lays the basis for all of the capacity building we've been doing. I think one of the obviously it was a short discussion, but one of the learnings that I got out of it is kind of really just how relevant it is, and that there is really indeed kind of a blind spot in terms of including unions in capacity building on this topic. I feel like there was a lot of interest, not only coming from kind of the development side, but also coming from the brand side on this topic, and some questions on, so how do we involve the trade unions on this? And I think all of those questions and the kind of interest that we caught out of it really demonstrates how useful it is, how relevant it is, and that we're only kind of just getting started on this topic. So that was very helpful for me as well to see why this is so valuable and relevant for many people. So that's
Thank you so much, Margaret, for sharing the insights you had in your group. Let's move on to the third group, which was led by Ms. An, and the topic was community-based led worker groups. Over to you, Ms. An.
Hi everyone. I'm from the group 3 from the CDI, the Center for Development and Integration, a Vietnamese NGO based in Hanoi. So we have 20 years experience to work with the labor and workers at grassroots level. So I would like to share two things to highlight in our presentation. The first thing that we talk about the due reason, the corporate due reason, and engage the worker voices. So I think we need to talk about the share benefit and share responsibility. It means the benefit and responsibility of the workers and supplier, or the benefit and responsibility of the supplier and brands. Is very important to improve the power imbalance between the worker and the supplier and brands to contribute to the tourism and sustainable development. One more thing that I would like to highlight about the how to engage the worker meaningfully in the factory and in the supply chain. We conduct a lot of capacity building for the worker, but I think the important that we create the tools for workers to raise voices, the tools and the mechanism for workers to raise voices, to raise the complaint. So that's why we set up the different channel for worker to raise complaint. It's kind of the external mechanism and kind of the additional channel for worker to raise voices, to raise complaint, and the CSO like CDI kind of the third party to help them to resolve the complaint. And we developed the WeCheck app the WeCheck app is very new and innovative tool for worker to raise the complaint, and the worker very easy for the worker to use the app, and the app is the useful tools for them to raise the voices, raise the complaint, and the self-monitor their working condition as well. It means that we develop and the kind of criteria based on labor standard, based on the Vietnamese labor code. The worker can use the app to check and to monitor the working condition of the factory, to know more about the current situation of the working condition of the worker. But the important thing that the worker can use time every year. I mean that, and they compare the working condition over the years. So I think that important tools for worker and tools for the supply chain actors to know more about the worker voices, about the worker issue, and we could kind of the data to analyze about the working condition, to have the recommendation to improve the working condition and improve the sustainable in the supply chain. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. An. So that was all from the breakout session 2, and then we'll move on to the next 3 groups, and for that I'll hand over the mic to Hasso.
Yeah, thank you, Aman. And actually, the third group from your breakout session was a perfect transition to our group, because you could, I think this conversation could also have taken place in the other breakout session on innovative solutions. As a matter of fact, I'll first give the floor to Anna Maria, who was also presenting to us an external digital solution for brands to get access to worker voices.
Great, thank you so much. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ana Maria Soto. I'm the director of Impact at ISARA Institute. ISARA Institute is a non-profit organization that is focusing on leveraging our labor expertise, business intelligence, and on our position on the ground to combat human trafficking and forced labor in global supply chains. So we do this through workers' voice, innovation, and collaboration and partnership. So for us, partnerships as from the side of civil society organizations, we work with nonprofit organizations as well as trade unions, and we also partner with the private sector. This is a way of collaborating with all the stakeholders in the supply chain to have workers' voice at the center of everything that we do, to have that business intelligence that will provide better solutions for better results for workers as well as better results for the businesses. So in our session, I share more of our program, the Inclusive Labor Monitoring Program, which is about building HRDD from the ground up. We presented, well, I share more about the tech side of it as well as the program. And some of the questions that we received were about trust, like how do we build trust with the workers, or how the tools work, right? And this is, of course, very important key of the work that we do, because it's, of course, not only about hearing the workers or their voices, but also doing something about it and taking action, right? So we build trust through the collaboration and partnership that we have with civil society organizations that are on the ground and have, of course, like that connection already with the workers. And we have all these different channels where workers can report any issues or can provide any feedback, and then there is action towards what is being reported. And then we work in a safe space for the companies as well, for them to be able to understand what are their remediation needs, but also what are the system changes that they can take for long-term solutions.
Thank you, Ana Maria. And then next would be Isabel from CNV again, also talking about a digital solution by CNV. We had CNV also in the other breakout group, but here it was about the Fair Work Monitor. Isabel.
Yes, thank you. I will not introduce our organization anymore, since Margot did that so well. In the breakout, I shared about a Fair Work Monitor, a tool we started using 4 years ago with our partner here on the table, but I'm not sure if Henk or if Chenda hears it. I think she does. So we started it with CLC and CICADO, this tool, and to impact the minimum wage negotiations that take place every year. So together with the unions, we collect data on wages, working conditions, and cost of living. After 1 year, one of the main learnings was, well, to be impactful, we need to collaborate with more unions on this project. So from the second year onwards, we involve more. And right now we are working with 6 or 7 unions. And this year we are targeting 3,000 workers from 100 factories. Another learning is that the data that we collect is actually not only useful for the minimum wage negotiations, but can also be very impactful to engage brands and play a meaningful role in human rights due diligence. So the next steps that we are taking is to also discuss data on the factory level with factory management and brands. And also we can use it to monitor, for instance, agreements such as ACT. Thank you.
And then finally, we had a case study from Vietnam about oh, you have a microphone, of a company internal mechanism, digital mechanism, and Uyen will tell us more about how this discussion went. It's the last one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so same like others, please allow me to come here. I think my sharing is going to be a bit different from the others that they have a platform offering to the brands or the corporations to use, but from us, we develop within a platform called We Share, We Care to collect the feedback from almost 12,000 employees across 6 factories in Vietnam. So the platform is, we call it an e-feedback platform where people can access to that, raise up their feedback, their concern, their happiness, whatever thought they think that they want to share up there, they will share up there. And then HR will have responsibility to go through one by one, read fully, and then, either if within the HR scope, we're gonna respond. If not, we will work with relevant department to take action. And the rules is we need to respond that within 7 days and give the answers to the people. And with this platform, so far, is bringing the outcome, the better satisfaction from the employees to, the management. And this year is the 2nd year we be certified as a best workplace in Vietnam. So, I'm happy to share further due to the time limit. Yeah.
And we also have the dinner, which is coming up. So reach out to any of the speakers if this was interesting to you and you want to find out more.
Thank you.
I now have a double closing. I will just very briefly close formally the technical part of today. We had the morning focusing on environmental due diligence and focusing on biomass as well as the topic of circularity. And we had the afternoon looking at, let's say the human rights aspects of HREDD. So we looked at both legs of the HREDD body, if you will, and specifically zoomed in on worker representation and meaningful worker engagement as the law would have it. And I thank all of you for your contributions to this discussion. It's exciting to see how many organizations are working on these topics from different angles. For those of you who joined the critical reflection workshop yesterday, you saw how these different perspectives are sometimes difficult to reconcile, but at the same time it's also necessary to have this dialogue between the different partners. And I deeply thank you for being part of today's technical part. And that also leads me to the second closing, for which I will just go up on the stage to give it a different vibe. Because that's actually the closing. That's actually the closing of a 2-day conference. And that's a 2-day conference which marks a big milestone. And this is the milestone of 10 years of Fabric Asia, or 10 years of regional engagement of the German Development Corporation on topics of environmental as well as social sustainability in the garment and textile industry. And also from that perspective, I would like to thank you for many years of cooperation. With many of you, we have cooperated for a long time. I'm sending this also on behalf of Mark Beckman, who is the program director. And we had a marathon of events over the last month, and he had a migraine now, so he can't be on stage here. So I can say it from my perspective, and maybe I can share a personal story that also speaks to the successes of Fabric Asia. Because I've had the pleasure to work with Fabric Cambodia, so the national component of Fabric Asia, now for close to 3 years. And I had no working experience in the textile industry before, but I had an immense learning curve over these 3 years. And this is possible because of all the networks and all the activities and all the processes and all the assets that have been created under this regional umbrella and this regional cooperation with stakeholders across the industry. And I hope you also learned, especially on the first day as we recapped the successes and the results of this regional cooperation, that many of these things continue to live. Many networks have been created, such as the STAR network, the STTI initiative, which will continue being carried forward by the respective partners. We have the labor law app and the Women Empowerment House in Cambodia, for example, which continue to live through the bilateral project, the bilateral fabric project in Cambodia. And needless to say that just because the regional project is coming to an end, that does not end the engagement of German Development Corporation in the respective countries. We do have projects on HID topics in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, in Cambodia, just to mention a few. So the work continues. What does come to an end is the regional perspective, but even here we continue, and that's where I want to close with basically the title of the conference, Advancing Sustainability and the Need for Regional Perspectives. It's almost like a vision and a mission, because the vision is the sustainable transformation, and the mission is the regional exchange, and that continues. I think many organizations and many projects like to think of themselves like engines. Yeah, and in some ways, also the Fabric Asia project was an engine for this regional cooperation, but maybe even more so fuel. And the engine is really the industry. The engine is really all the different stakeholders, as we are, for example, gathering or have gathered here over the last 2 weeks. And the regional project was merely fuel to this engine, and you are the fuel, all the organizations here, and all your personal energy and those of your organizations, your companies, your governments, whoever you are representing, they are also fuel of this regional dialogue, and this continues. So in one way or another, I look forward to seeing you again on other regional events. And thank you very much for these 2 days. And I invite you now to join us for dinner on the 6th floor, hopefully still with a sunset view that I promised, and we can continue our conversations there. Thank you very much.
And before going for the dinner, I would request you all to please join us at the stage for a group photo. Thank you.
Good news from Lisa, you even have time to refresh yourselves a little bit. The dinner starts at 6:30, which means you can refresh yourselves, but also, of course, join for drinks before dinner, because 6:30 would be too late for the sunset. All right, but please come upstairs. We'll have a final photo with everybody who's still here.
Yeah, we can make 2 rows. Yeah, people can stand over there as well. Yeah. Mike? Can we wait for more people? Yeah, just hold on a moment. Eurochamp. I think few more people are coming from the Eurochamp session. I'll just go and check and. How many more people are coming? So no more people except me. Just hold on a moment. Thank you, everyone.